Hey, what's going on? Good morning, everybody. Hope you're doing well. Thank you for being here today. Morning, Tiger. How you doing, Sarika? Good to see you too. Hope everything is going well. Well, today we're going to just do some general chit chat. It's going to be pretty loose. Everybody's after the holidays, family's still in town, so we're going to keep this really light and loose. I am going to talk a little bit about. Um, we talked for got a month already about the flowing hair and what the mint has done and some of the stuff. But I want to reference the Canadian Mint today. I want to look at some of the stuff that they do to help engage with their audience, their people, to gain collectors. And I called it in the title, this is how you do it. Cultivating a collector. What is that? How does that look? And the Canadian Mint, the Royal Mint in general, does a really good job with that. Not only with circulating coinage that is cool and collectible, but with things like, well, some just real opulent stuff. Hey, farm dog. Good morning. How you
Morning,
doing?
farm dog.
I don't have chat open today. I'm having a problem with getting my dual feed to feed through chat. So if I miss you, bear with me. But we're going to just do some general chit chat today. Morning, Paula. How are you?
Good morning. I am Peachy.
You want to tell everybody about the exciting adventure you had this?
So my little avatar there is
Make
an
this
actual
big. Here we go.
picture
You got to
of
look at this.
that's my grandson. It's never boring around this house. He thought it would be a good idea to dump his army men out of the bucket and put the bucket on his head.
Yeah.
Needless to say, it went on a lot easier than it came off. Um, so yeah, that was part of my Thanksgiving weekend.
Yes, and you can clearly see he does not look happy.
He was not happy. His nose is smushed, and yeah, he was not happy about it.
Yeah, I just don't understand. Like I said, I don't remember doing stuff like this. I don't remember putting beans in my nose or in my ears or sticking buckets on my head. I mean, we did dumb stuff like we played war games with BB guns and bow and arrows. So, I mean, we did dumb
Mhm.
stuff, but I don't remember sticking buckets on my head and doing stuff like that. It's just crazy.
I did. I did stuff like that.
I believe that.
Can you believe that?
I know, right?
Shocker.
Oh, that's just too much fun. You showed me that, and I was like, I we have to share that with everybody. Oh, let's
Mm.
say hi to everybody. Scotty Quaddy, what's going on? Farm Dog, thanks for being a channel member. I
Good
definitely appreciate
morning,
you.
Azure Blue.
Jackalope, thanks for being a channel member. I appreciate you. Thanks so much for being in here. David Carlisle's not here. What's going on, brother? Good to see
Good
you.
morning.
Yeah, but anyway, I want to just kind of talk about this. I want to jump straight into this just because, there's so many cool things that are in place with the Royal Mint. And we've talked about this a lot, Paula. This is something that there's so many things the United States Mint can do. I think they could really get some lessons from this.
Well, I have a
Um,
question right off the bat.
yeah,
So, we're pretty bound by legislation when it comes to our
it's
coinage.
true.
Is the Royal Canadian Mint, do they have that same do they have to go through like parliament or whatever?
Yes. So
Um,
there's very not exactly the same, but they do have to follow the same type of legislation. They have quality standards, which has been maddening because we talk about quality standards and they get all these milk spots and stuff all over their coins. But that has to do
I
with
thought they
wash and
fixed that.
stuff, right? Huh?
I thought they fixed that.
To a degree, but some of the new stuff still has it.
Mm.
We still see it on American coinage too, right? So um, I don't think that we've 100% wiped out the milk spotting issue. I think it still happens quite a few places. Um, I know things like, oh man, I got a Cougaran that was at one time an MS-70, and now it looks like it's a giant milky white dot in the holder that it's in. So, hey.
Lovely.
Um, but what I wanted to look at to start off with is this, the circulation and base metals. So we're talking about circulation coinage. Like, why can't we do stuff like this? Right? They have the $2 Inuit here. You can buy them, but these are all circulating coins, mintage of 15,000. They have the exact same one that's colorized, non-colorized. Tons
So
of
those are a mintage of 15,000, mintage of 10,000, and those are released into circulation,
so you yeah, they can do them a
or are they
couple
circulation strikes?
um both. So they release these, but you can also buy them in the specialty packs. So these packs are the mintage of 10,000. This
Oh,
pack is the mintage of 15,000. But the
well, that
total
doesn't make
mintage
any
for
sense. That sounds like it would be more of a product as opposed to a mintage,
well, yeah. But
because
again, when
the packs packaging isn't minted.
there may be language difference on that. Um
Um,
but like you'll have um for instance, like when we talk about the flowing hair, the mintage of 75,000, but the product limit of 15,000
yeah,
or
we've seen that
50,000,
before though,
right?
when they've decided to do, like, sets and stuff, they'll,
Right. So the
yeah.
total mintage for this might be 50,000. It might be 100,000. But
Hmm.
10,000 come in this pack, right?
Huh. Well, that's a stupid way to word it.
Well, it might be, but again, what I'm looking at is
Because
not the
that doesn't have
packaging.
anything to do with the mintage.
Yeah, what I'm looking at is less of the packaging and more of the coin itself.
Yeah,
Um,
those coins are cool as heck.
but you see people do it all the time. You see, like Nick Molnar and some other people looking at they do the Canadian coin hunts and are always
Mm.
looking for the colorized items, right? And I've been on a number of them. I actually have a bunch of loonies and toonies that are colorized. The Canadian hockey ones. I have the colored V. I have the insulin one. I have the
But they sell those in their post offices, right?
yeah, but that you can so like I have this one too, which is the airplane, the colorized airplane, honoring Elise McGill or Elsie McGill. But yeah, they have you can they're in circulation. They release them in limited numbers, but you can buy packs. You can buy the commemorative keepsake cards. So they have a number of different ways in which these can enter circulation, but they're part of their circulating coinage. So they're kind of like the min sets, right? So you can
Mhm.
get the min sets of what normally would be like a circulated strike. But again, they're still there. But
That's so
these
cool.
things are things you can find in circulating coinage. What's up, Eric?
Hey, how are
The
you?
UK does that too, right? They make all kinds of special
Yeah,
circulation
and
coinage and
tons of circulating commemoratives. One thing when I was over there,
yeah,
that was one of the things to look at. There's like a set of four of the half.
like Beatrice
Um,
Potter and
yeah, there's a set of four of
the
the halves where you put
Harry
it together,
yeah.
it forms a little shield. Um, they had a lot of really cool pieces, and you're constantly looking through your change to see if you can find one of these, rare commemorative style pieces that, again, they're in circulation.
Morning,
Um,
Eric.
Good morning.
but it causes people to look at their coins. It causes people to collect them. And yes, you can call it hoarding if you want to, but it causes people to go out and actually pay attention to these things and try to find them. I've been on plenty of these hunts where and I'm going to go back up here. I've been on plenty of hunts where people are looking for both, right? So if you're searching a coin roll, you want to find one. Obviously, you want to find the colorized one, but sometimes the colorized one isn't the one you want to get. Sometimes the non-colorized one is the lower mintage. Um, And so it waxes and wanes. They change it up a little bit. They make it a little bit different. Um, but when you buy one, or if you get one, you want to get the other one, right? Because again, this is what's going to draw interest to this. Doing a one-time or two-time metal, and then taking the opportunity for the general public to not have the opportunity for it because they can't afford 20 grand for the coin. Um, Now, granted, they have obviously coins that cost a ton of money. The one that's on the screen is this one, and this thing is outrageous. Oops, what the hell? Uh, oh, I got to make this bigger. Hold on just a sec. Hate
That's
it
what
when
she
it does
said.
this. Like the opulence collection, right? This piece right here it's fabulous. It's
Hmm.
a 5-ounce gold coin inlaid
Jeez.
with diamond oval, got a cushion heart, right? Absolutely brilliant high relief. Now, is the standard collector going to be able to do this? No, there's no way
Okay,
I
is
can
that the
afford
million
this.
dollar coin?
No, it's only 70,000.
I was going to say some of the coins they've actually got $1 million coin on that site, or they had. Somebody might have bought it.
They have a couple different ones. One of the ones, and I don't think they have it anymore. Um, yeah, they don't have it anymore. It's part of the opulence collection. Um, but like this coin right here, really beautiful. It's got uh, just absolutely beautiful gemstones, nice high relief. Now these are all high relief. They got really nice boxes. You open it up, it's got the certificate of authenticity inside there. But it's got the various gemstones embossed around. Uh, the coins are crazy, but when you look at, why can't I open? There we go. So again, look at this. This one, $99,000, right? $89,000. Like the prices on some of these are outrageous. $253,000. Now, are we going to be able to do this? No. Now, like this one is a platinum. It's a mintage of one, right? We probably know that that didn't happen. This is a 10-ounce platinum coin. I mean, just it's crazy. Um, but why can't we do, I mean, why can't we do various collections for the general population? We look at the Lunar New Year. I just picked up the Lunar Dragon, which is this one right here. Uh, Beautiful piece, right? Absolutely beautiful piece. It's an expensive piece, but again, just they do some amazing stuff. Now, granted, they have to have this here and the quality standards for what can be on the design, how big it has to be, what certain elements on there. They have legislation just like we do that requires that, but their director, their mint, has more leeway. So one thing I heard when the Coin Show podcast interviewed Ventress Gibson was she said something that I didn't know that you couldn't do. And the thing that she said was that she has the capability to create and design gold coinage, but she can't do it with silver.
Mm-mm.
So she has no authority to do any special design elements or considerations when it comes to silver
But
coinage.
she can do metals. That's why there was a metal and a coin for the flowing hair,
But this
right?
is why that silver medal wasn't a silver coin, because she doesn't have the authorization without
Yeah,
congressional approval to do that,
Yeah.
right?
well,
What
and the only reason she has the authority to do the gold is because that is in legislation. It's just standing legislation, that's all. If
Right.
that
Well,
makes
but
sense.
she
Like
has the
that's
opportunity to work on the design elements and do that. There's just
yeah.
certain things that she has to meet. That's the same
Mhm.
basic structure that they have here. There are certain elements that have to be there. They have to meet that requirement. They have to fall within the guidelines of that royal decree that's
Sorry.
that's given. But then they have basically liberty to, as long as it meets the requirements, to design some really, really neat pieces.
Doesn't it have
And
something our thing has something to do with the Silver Coinage Act or something where they removed all the circulating silver out of all the silver out of circulating coinage.
And that had to do with 63, 64, the act that they put in place when they did that transfer, and then 65 was the follow up to that. Or, no, 65 was
But
when
even any
they did,
redesigning of
yeah,
clad coinage and stuff too, that all has to go through legislation.
right. But again, if she had more autonomy with silver coinage, even if it's designed like this piece, this is the lunar year of the rabbit. I mean, this piece is crazy.
What I don't
Absolutely.
understand is where how they got by with, putting that silver privy on on the ASE without that
Yeah,
having
because
to go through
that's considered a denominating coin.
that star privy, yeah.
But it's a bullion strike, right?
Yeah, but it's still you can take it to the store and spend it for
Yeah.
$1 if you want.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think it's because it comes under the bullion legislation and not the coinage. Um, I don't know
It's
though,
a
but
still
again,
an American Silver Eagle $1
yeah.
coin.
So I'm not sure why or where they get certain elements, but again, I mean, look at this.
Weird.
If you had this kind of stuff come out, now granted, this is collection stuff. This is 25 francs, right? But it's a beautiful piece. Why can't we do stuff like this? Right? Why can't the mint create some pieces that are just like extremely ornate and I mean, granted, you're looking at an ounce of
Well, look
silver.
at the mintage on those. If we did coins like that and put that low of a mintage and did multiple, multiple of them, I mean, people complain already if there's 175,000 mintage coin and they sell out in a day. You know, if we had a low mintage like that, I mean, it would be ridiculous. First of all, we'd never be able to get them.
Well, no, they would have to create some of these where that bulk buying program wasn't allowed to have access to some of these things. They
Well,
need to
they
have
would
some
have to
sort of
raise the
something in
mintage
place.
too because
Yeah, but they'd have to have something in place that if it's under, 5,000 the bulk program or 10,000 the bulk program can't get them. Because this is what garners collectors. Um, because I'll tell you, I don't look at the U.S. Mint site near as much as I do the Royal Mint or the Royal Canadian Mint or the Australian Mint or the New Zealand Mint. The Perth Mint does some amazing stuff. I look at their sites way more frequently than I would ever look at the U.S. Mint. There's just nothing there. There's nothing of interest to me. The flowing hair, and God, I don't know how many times we talked about this. This was one of the first ones where it was like, I really enjoyed um, the design. The Greatest Generation was one of those where I really enjoyed the design. They had done a really good one. Unfortunately, they put the nicest design on the gold coin um, and made it harder to get that nice design. Um, but I find myself looking at more of the Canadian and the Royal Mint than I ever do. Now, granted, some of the packaging is whatever, but
And the service in the Royal Mint, you can't it can't be
you
beat. The
can't
Canadian
beat
Mint
that
is
it.
was
fair, but
incredible.
the Royal Mint, you'll order something and
Yeah.
it's in your door in 2 days for like
Yep.
a quarter of what the US Mint charges us to send it.
Yep. And just and generally the quality. Um, they've got a wide variety of stuff. And again, this kind of stuff is cool. Now, these are all international. Some of these are New A, some of these are Perth, some of these are the Republic of Chad, and some of that other stuff. But I mean, look at this. Look, how
Yeah, but
cool
you
is
know
that?
what? Those are also the types of things that stackers look at people who like to collect that stuff and think that they're crazy.
Well, but if you're talking about an ounce of silver, then yeah, you probably are spending
Yeah.
$140 for this. I get that, but I'm not talking about
And
stackers,
that's where a lot of people look at it.
right? That's not one of the things that I'm addressing. I'm talking about specifically looking at collectors, and how do you engage collectors? How do you get people to really want to chase things and really kind of look at collecting more of what's produced? Um, I think that's cool as hell, right? It's a 2 coin set. If you like to golf, that would be freaking amazing. Um, some of the stuff that's out there is just really freaking neat. But why don't we engage in this? Why don't we look at developing something like this? Why don't we work on legislation that allows a little bit more autonomy? I mean, granted, I mean, good grief, baseball's a national pastime. Why can't we do something like this? Now, granted, we were able to finally get the baseball coin and the Hall of Fame coin, which was really cool. And we have some cool things, but there's so much cool stuff here.
I
It's so
think they're
much more
trying. I
amazing.
think they're trying. I think they're starting. They're trying. They're doing the DC or whatever, the Superman and Batman and Wonder Woman or whatever coins, and then and they're doing that Liberty Bell.
Well, the Liberty
So
Bell, I'm really excited about. Hopefully, they choose the better
yeah,
designs.
They're doing SLQs too, aren't they? Something that with the SLQ design.
they're doing gold coins. Yeah, they're doing not just SLQ. They're doing the Merc dime.
Yeah, a lot of the Art Deco
Yeah.
stuff.
Um, but like what he's talking about, I don't know. Like I think it would be really difficult with the way our mint is set up to do things, because don't like Nui, they have their things, like their silver and stuff, their coins backed by some weird random bank or something, don't they? Like, doesn't everything have to be backed by, I don't know. I don't know what
It,
I'm talking what
it's
I'm
all
trying to
government
say.
based. It's all
Yeah.
government based. So it's all government backed. Um,
And they just find some random, like,
Bank of Zimbabwe.
yeah, that you know.
well, but
So
again,
I
you're
don't know
talking
that
about
they have the
collectible.
same type they have the same type of legislative process that we do and stuff, and
Some
all of the
countries don't.
hoops, and
Some countries don't. But when you're
yeah,
talking
and all the
about,
hoops that we have to jump through and stuff like that too.
well, but a lot of these
But
pieces, again, a lot of these
I don't know what
pieces
I'm trying to say.
meet the criteria for the Royal Mint. And if you want me to, I can pull up what the requirements are from Canadian or Royal Mint coinage and what they have to do. I mean, they have to have the monarch. There's certain things that have to be done. They have to have the denomination. Um, Depending upon the type of coin, they have to have certain markings. So there are various things that they absolutely have to have.
Hmm.
But they still are very open to some design elements, and we can meet some of those design elements. We just don't choose those particular elements. I look at, if you had an American coin. So, for instance, what if they did, and we're talking maybe colorized, but what if they did like a state's motto, where they had like Utah, the Beehive State, and the beehive was, or the bee was calling the colorized, or you had something like the California grizzly, right? You had that, and that grizzly was colorized. You have Big
Are
Sky
you talking about
Country.
for circulation?
Yeah,
Have you looked at what it costs us to make circulation coinage now already without it being colorized?
yeah, but how is it that Canada is able to do that, right?
I don't know. That's what I'm asking. Like, I don't know. Maybe they don't make as many. Maybe
They don't
it's
make as
I don't
many, and
know.
that's one of the things. So they have their normal mintage, they have their basic circulating coinage, but they also throw these in. They do a number of these throughout the year, and they throw these in there. And I mean, if you were on a coin roll hunt, would you be looking for a silver quarter, or would you be more excited to pull something like this out of the roll? Right. So it goes to what's going to, and again, I know there's a lot of money, there's a lot of stuff to it, but how do you garner collectors? There's tons
Yeah.
of collectors in Canada. There's tons of collectors overseas.
Yeah, how do those coins not get, like, completely destroyed? Like, I could just see, like, a colorized coin in our process going through all the vending machines and crap and coin roll counters and everything, you
Probably
know?
they're probably using some sort of powder coating or something like that. That's really, it can take a lot of damage before it starts showing its age.
Hmm,
I don't know though.
I don't know.
Um,
Maybe it gets picked out right away. Maybe they don't
yeah.
go through it. Maybe they don't,
Well, a lot of them I watch. There's a couple good Canadian channels to watch, and you watch them do like toonies and
Mhm.
stuff like that, and they find them in circulation, and
Oh, yeah.
usually they're in good shape. Very very few of them. There's even ones that are 30 years old, and the coloring is still good.
Crazy.
Yeah, and
I'm just
again,
looking at the Royal Mint. Here's something: you can go to the Royal Mint and buy previous year's coins all the way into the 1700s.
1700s?
Yeah, they have. You just hit discover a 1759 death of Princess Anne medal. One
Metal.
available.
A
Just, I mean,
metal.
they're medals, but I looked at other years. I looked like between 70 or 65 and 70 or something like that. And you could still get a brand new mint state uncirculated
Well,
shill,
so where do you go
which
in?
is,
so they
uh,
have, like, numismatic items for
yeah,
sale,
you
it
hit
looks like.
collect and then you hit archive.
Yeah, okay.
And then at the archive, it says we have a few coins.
Not newly minted stuff, though.
No,
No.
this is all
Yeah,
even 2024. There's stuff that
okay.
they're not selling on the site that they might have, maybe it's return stuff. You never know. Uh,
Yeah. So these are a lot of the things that I would look for when we were over there.
Mhm.
Like we would look for
No,
some
I
of the
mean, I
specific.
watch people coin roll hunt and
Yeah.
stuff, but
But you can find a lot of this stuff in circulation.
yep.
Um, and again, I have a piece like this, and this was done, man, I don't remember when it was done. It was done quite a while ago. Um, but we were finding them and they were in great shape. Like great shape.
yeah, those are the ones that you can put the whole shield together,
Yep.
right?
Yep. It
Well,
was
Yeah,
heck,
I
you
like
got
have
a
a
a
bunch
couple
of
of those.
five
people
coin set or something like
Yeah.
that.
hyping classic Colombian, Peru, Philippines, all this stuff. They're
Mhm.
becoming hard to get all of a sudden because people are starting to hoard on them.
Well, but again, but how we talk about how do we create collectors? How do we create people who really want to engage in the hobby and really do this kind of stuff? We need to
You
take
give them a
lessons.
reason to want to collect it. The
Exactly,
W
right?
quarters did great.
Well, exactly. We don't I mean, that's yeah, they did fantastic. So, and they have an I don't know, I'm
And
tired of
that
harping
did
on
not
that
really
thing.
cost. I understand that there's no way to make production higher at West Point because it's a mint on a military base. There's no more way to
Right.
expand.
Right.
I get that totally. But there is so many things that they can do.
They,
Right. Yeah.
how many times have I talked about them putting a little privy on some circulation
Privy,
coins for
make
2026,
a
like the
2
cent and the
million,
nickel,
Hey,
2
you
nine
know?
million
four
San
nine,
Francisco
five
mint
memberships.
pennies.
Thanks so much, brother. Appreciate that a ton.
Uh, that's mint quarters. I mean, they already
Well, they
make
make
them,
those.
so
Yeah.
they already have the ability to make business strikes at San Francisco. So make a S mint dime and put it in
Yeah.
circulation.
They
Uh,
have an opportunity to do a lot of stuff.
Yeah, and that's the whole point of this conversation is there's so much that can be done. Um,
Every year, though, we as collectors have an opportunity to do something also. It's called the Great American Coin Hunt, and it happens every single year. And we don't have to limit ourselves to just that one month. We can do it at any time.
I was going
You,
to say, isn't the
if you've got random Indian head cents laying around, or random buffaloes, or V
oh God,
nickels,
are
or
you talking
whatever,
about throwing stuff in circulation?
throw it into
Oh,
circulation.
if you only knew.
Yeah,
That's 365 days here.
but everybody has an opportunity to do that
Yeah.
kind of stuff.
I mean,
I
it may
like
be no date buffalo nickels or stuff like that, but
I like take 50-cent pieces and take them to the grocery store. And the kids
Mm-hmm.
working these counters go, "Whoa,
Go
what is
tip
this?"
waitresses with Ike dollars,
Yeah,
$2 bills,
they're like,
whatever.
"Holy smokes, what is this? Oh, is this valuable?" It's like, well, in this shape, it's not overly valuable. Why do a little bit of research, find out about it, right? You have any questions, let me know.
Mm-hmm.
I
Um,
wish I would have brought some coins.
but
I
yeah,
was just on
I do that
vacation.
stuff all the time. I like doing it with my friends' kids, like when we go out to eat. I'll
I
take some
Kids
tried
are
stuff
the best way.
and
I tried tipping a
I'll hand them a
waitress
couple coins and they'll be like, "Whoa."
12 $1 bills, and she said she didn't accept
What's up,
stripper
coin crew?
cash.
No,
I was like, really?
I
Says, okay.
Well, and
Now you only get 10.
one thing I really like to do when it comes to coins and kids is get a hold of their parents and say, what year were they born? And get them a coin from their birth year, but get them a coin from their birth year when it was 100 years old. Because you hand a kid a coin that's 100 years old when they were born, they're just mesmerized by it, right? Like this coin was 100 years old. I remember the first time. It wasn't my grandfather who showed me a coin. I was at my friend's house, and his dad collected. And he's like, "Hey, I want to show you something." He's like, "What year were you born in?" I was like, 73. And he ran upstairs. And he comes downstairs. He's like, "Look," and he showed me a couple coins from 1873, and I was just like, "Wow." Right? I didn't even
dude,
know they
love
had
those
coins
stripper
that
tips.
old. Like back when I was that young, I just had no idea. Um, and that stuff stuck for me with life. Hey, what's up, Coach? How are you doing, bud?
Morning, Keith or Angel, whoever that is. Good morning. Did
Hi,
you see
Cirque.
that you got?
If you're a subscriber to
Did
the channel, you're open to get a membership. It can happen at any time. You
you
don't have
see?
to be in the
Oh
stream.
yeah, 949 gifted 5
Yep.
memberships. Awesome.
So when 949 dropped them, they randomly go out. Now, the only time
Well,
that doesn't work,
you have to opt in to accept
yeah,
memberships.
that only time that doesn't work is if you're Steve LaPointe or Red Silver, and they
Right.
and they
Morning,
had to get
Keith.
their own. So yeah, it was funny. They had tried for a long time to get one of those. It's like you can't choose. It's very random based off of people who had subscribed. So
But I would love to know. I would love for one of you Canadian folks or Frostbite, whoever wants to do the research or whatever, to find out what the process is for the Canadian Mint to put out these colorized coins or whatever, what type of legislation they have to go through. I mean, because it's a process for us. It took, gosh, how many years to get the 2021 Morgan Dollar program going? I mean, and now they've continued it and ruined it, but whatever. I mean, it took years and signatures and like, I mean, it was a process. So I would love to know what the legislative process is for that.
I'll
If
pull it
they
up.
can
I'll find
just
it.
go and say, just go vote on it, and yep,
From what
all
I'm
everyone.
gathering, uh, let's see, there's a big thing right on the website about it. But it sounds like whatever it was started during the Tomback nickels of 43 and 45.
Hmm.
And then it's find a good story, find some art, do the art, and then mint. Let's see, mint a work, blah, 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 blah.
So
And
I'm
that's it.
throwing
It doesn't
this.
actually tell the process, but it says that 80 years ago is when it all started.
Okay, so
Yeah,
it's
so I'll
not
read
something they have to
this.
do every single time.
It says all themes considered for coins by the Royal Mint go through a rigorous planning and selection process, governed by an independent panel known as the Royal Mint Advisory Committee. The committee members include expert art, heraldry, typographic, sculpture, numismatic, as well as other experts in design for the Royal Mint. Themes have to be considered things have to be submitted for consideration. Then the committee ensures that those shortlisted reflect the most significant or appropriate events, figures, anniversary for the commemorates. Key considerations include Britishness, global impact, cultural relevancy, and existing themes. The Chancellor and the monarch have to approve the theme. The Royal Mint organize a design competition, select the number of artists to take part, recommend, and make committee on the best design. Then they are submitted to the monarch for approval. Prince Philip was the president of the Royal Mint Advisory Committee from 52 to 1990. So they
So
have,
that's it. They have an easy peasy process then. They have like a CCAC like we do, and they design a coin, they vote on it, aye, nay, whatever. It goes to Prince whoever, and
yeah, well, no,
he
it's more
probably
than
has his
that.
secretary look at it and go, okay.
It's more than that. I'm not done reading.
All right,
So
according to like the Canadian Mint, the process to colorize a coin takes 2 years, sometimes more.
yeah, it's a very long process.
Yeah, and it doesn't
1971
say
Coinage Act.
exactly what the process is. It just says starts with collectors, then goes to historical research and consultation. It doesn't say anything about government at all.
That's what I want to know.
But
That's the part I want to know.
Like they got a dime, 2021 dime that they colorized the water blue. If they tried to do that in the United States, you'd have 80 interest groups saying, I want red water, I want brown water because of the Hudson, I want this and that. Nobody'd ever get any water.
No, I love that dime, that with the water on the.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, it's
beautiful, isn't it?
amazing. So it
It
says
is.
1971 Coinage Act, the Royal Proclamation detailed the coin denomination and agreed design that the Royal Mint wishes to make. It's also submitted to a Privy Council where it's formally signed off by the monarch. Once signed, the production of coins can commence. So they have a coin act that they have to follow. They have a proclamation that has to be done. They have a routing and a vetting process. It's a little bit different than ours, but
I
it's
didn't hear all that. I didn't hear all that. I heard that this legislation went through years and years and years ago, and all you have to do is just to hear this group gets together. They make a design.
That
They
was the
submit it.
Royal Mint. This is the Canadian Mint, I think, what he's reading now. The
Yeah,
Canadian
that's
Mint
what I'm
started
no,
in
saying.
I'm
80
reading the
years
Royal
ago
Mint.
also.
Yeah.
But it does say that there's a big process. It just doesn't say what exactly the process is.
Yeah,
Says it
but it
takes 2
does.
years
That
plus.
process doesn't sound like it has to go through like legislation like we do. It
It
sounds like the
probably
legislation
doesn't.
has already been done.
Like I say, our government works at gridlocking, so
Yeah,
we're
that's
just
true.
good at
Every
it.
single thing that changes with us,
Right,
it
is a
has to go
fight.
through legislation and
And everybody's fighting on why they should or shouldn't do it. And there's always some crap that gets in the way, to be blunt.
yeah.
And I think that's just the
That's
American
probably
way.
exactly why we can't do what they do. It probably boils down to that, if you want to simplify it. That's what it sounds like to me. Like it's a much simpler process for them than it is for us. And we can't get 50 people to agree on whether boys can use girls' bathrooms.
Well, that's what I'm saying. There's always a special interest group that's going to muddy the waters with something.
Exactly. Exactly. They're just all, hey, want to do a new coin, eh?
But
Okay,
that's how
eh?
a lot of, like I say, I'm from Detroit and I spent a lot of time in Canada. Canadians in general, that's just how they are.
They're just happy folks.
They're
Okay,
happier
eh?
people. Yeah, they are just happy people by nature.
I know that Frostbite's going to dig deeper into it, and some of you guys will too. I think that that's probably the simplest answer to a very complex problem is that we just have a bunch of knuckleheads that can't agree on anything, and so we have
That's
to put
that's not
we have
just
to
I
put
coins,
would
that's
lean
everything.
more
everything.
towards that. Yes.
Yeah, we have to put
Our
everything through
committees screw it up for
legislation, and
us.
nobody agrees.
Yeah.
Nobody can agree on it. And it costs us a ton of money to make coins. So, good morning, Kevin.
Well, and this is one reason that they're pushing the thing like the CBDC and getting away from actually coins and paper money and doing all digital based currencies, which is a
And I
scary
think
thought.
Ventress, to give her credit, I
I
think that
liked her.
she
Love that
I think
interview.
that she is really trying. I think that she is going in a direction that I wouldn't choose to go in. And it's the consequence of that is that a lot of collectors are getting very put off.
Yep.
Um, that she I think that she has a lot of probably corporate interest that she has to please that we don't know about. And it's probably a very delicate balancing act that she has there,
Well, I
pleasing
listened
us
to
and
that.
pleasing the big money, you
Yeah, I
know?
listened to that interview when they were talking about the Star Privy and the guy that came across, and I really pulled out of that the idea that number one, this is a business, right? Their job, their sole job is to not lose money. Their job is to make money. But the one thing that I'm finding in the more I kind of look through this is that I agree with you. I think that there is a bigger grab to move towards the the big money
Mhm,
and move away from the collectors,
mhm.
right? How do we gain more interest? Um, the
And she
comment,
has
and
to
I
pay back. She has to pay money to the government. I did not realize that.
Yep.
well, yeah, anything in
So,
excess. So they can't be. They have to be profitable, but well, the Royal Mint has to be the same way. When they reach a certain point, they reach a certain amount of finance that has to go over into um, another account where they actually pay back,
mhm,
excuse me, against money that was given to them. So if they reach a certain point of profitability, everything else has to go away. In the story that I'm working right now, I won't relay too much information. Working with some people who really understand banking finance within the state, but one of the
Texas.
requirements for them as well is to once the Texas comptroller reaches a certain amount of money, they have to start putting it back into the public coffers. And so again, there's a bigger pool of money, but they have to pay for stuff because, as she said before, if they don't make money, they don't get new equipment, they don't get any of that kind of stuff. So they have
Yeah,
Well, and I
that
think
stuff is on
legislation says they
appropriation
can't
only.
lose money.
She can't,
yeah,
and if she
Yeah.
loses money, she doesn't get her equipment. She doesn't get the stuff that needs to do. So they're penalized for not doing this. So I understand that there's a definite need to do this, and they have to engage bigger market. They have to engage those Fortune 500 companies to,
Yeah. And
you
that's
know,
probably a
yeah,
reason why the other mints do what they do. They're probably funded by the government, whether they make money or not.
yeah.
And by the way, the colorizing is enameled. So it's powder coating. And if it
Right,
can
no,
be
I knew
multiple
it was
colors,
enameled, but
uh, it said it can be multi-layered. So some
yeah.
can be the powder coat with something applied on top of it.
I mean, our colorizing is probably the same exact
And it
process.
kind of sounds like all the colorized coins are minted at the Winnipeg Mint, where all the normal coins are for sure at Ottawa.
Yeah, it would be cool if we could do stuff like that, but
And they might do it. Look at they got the laser etching, and there was an article in Coin World that while it didn't say it, it kind of said that the original reasoning for the coloring was uh, for security. It was not easy to counterfeit. You know, if you can't do it with a paintbrush unless you're really talented. And how many people are going to spend 2 hours painting the back of a coin?
mhm. Morning, Cuban.
so I am actually reaching out to the Royal Mint. I just submitted a request for information on the actual House of Commons legislative process. So I just submitted a formal request for information on how that process works. So as soon as I get that information, I'll put a little video where I'll talk about it here, and then we'll talk about exactly what's going on. how that works, what needs to be done. So I've already put in the request, and as soon as I get response to that, I'll give you back. But I'm actually asking the Royal Mint instead of just trying to search it because I want to make sure I get the appropriate answers.
Yeah. I don't know if you can hear that noise, but that's my daughter-in-law's dog.
Well, had to be hearing my dogs. They've been going in and out,
I haven't heard a
knocking on the
thing.
door.
This one, she's got heart, like congestive heart problems and stuff, and
No, that's no good.
she just coughs and coughs and coughs, and it's terrible.
So my sister has a dog with no legs, and I ask her what she calls it. She goes, "Don't call it. It ain't coming anyway."
Oh my
I
God.
knew it.
Ay, ay, ay.
One of my favorite dogs. They actually nicknamed it Tripod. It had something happen, had some sort of leg break or something, and they had to cut off one of the legs. It only had 3 legs. And this was the coolest freaking dog, but it only had 3 legs. They called it Tripod. It was one of the neatest little dogs.
Well, I've seen videos of dogs that don't have any front legs and they actually walk upright on their back. It's the weirdest looking thing.
I volunteer for a dachshund rescue it's not a dachshund, it's a Chihuahua, but it has no rear legs, and it walks on its front legs and it runs around. It does everything a regular dog does with no back legs.
It's
Well, that is so weird.
There's people who have these little carts that they can put on.
I've seen those.
Strap them to the back of the dog so they
Mm-hmm.
can kind of wheel themselves around.
Those are really something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. It's amazing what nature does to take care of itself, and right. But fun stuff.
So, moral of the story: collect old coins that you don't have to buy from the U.S. Mint.
Well, but again, when we talk about
classic coinage,
we talk about classic coinage, we talked about now they were bound by certain things. They had to have stuff on there. There's coin acts that have happened since 1792. And so if you want to know what those coin acts were, I got a video on it. Go watch it. But there's been legislation ever from the get-go about what needs to be on coins. I think the biggest issue, and Paula hit on this earlier, the biggest issue that we have nowadays is some of the stuff that they agree to put on there is just why, right? We can't agree to have nice stuff.
Yeah.
I would really like. I know that Mint will never release this because it would show that they're not following what the general people have stated. I would love to have seen what the end survey results were for the coinage when they did the semi-quincentennial. I would love to see.
You can watch it on the Mint site. They go through every design, and some of them there's designs you don't even know about that they're showing. I mean, there was a couple of them that had like 20 designs, and I'm like, wow. And there was some good stuff, and there was reasons like the Mint engraver said the die life will be too short. We can't do it.
And those are reasons that I can get behind.
That's right.
But my problem with the U.S. Mint right now is that they are so worried about hurting somebody's feelings or
it's not just the Mint, it's the U.S. government.
No, I know it. It's our world. It's our world right now.
Yeah.
But the United States at least. But the United States is that way right now.
Chris G, thanks for being a member. 9 months. Thanks so much, brother.
It is absolutely ridiculous that, okay, so I ranted a little bit on our last live show. If you get numismatic news, it's in numismatic news about the quarters that are coming out for the semi-quincentennial.
Yep.
And 3 of the 4 designs have absolutely nothing to do with the semi-quincentennial.
That's right.
The Declaration of Independence have nothing to do with it. It's all, they've got suffrage, they've got abolitionism and civil rights. Now, while I'm not saying that those don't deserve to be commemorated or whatever.
Right. Do
Anyway,
another separate quarters a half
they
dollar to do
absolutely do, right, because they are part
it.
of the US's history, and they are important, super important. I am a woman, so I appreciate the suffrage movement. I appreciate all of that. But if we are going to celebrate the Declaration of Independence and our semi-quincentennial, we need to make it about that.
I agree.
And that's it. And there's plenty to celebrate in that. Now they're trying to say that there's things like the 19th Amendment was ratified, blah blah blah. For anyway, they're trying to include all of that into the language of the Declaration of Independence, and that's okay. But it's a stretch. They need to just keep it about what it is. Otherwise it becomes, there's no meaning then
Well,
to it.
otherwise, there's all sorts of other amendments that don't get any coverage.
It's true. It is true.
They're going by that.
It's true. And if they want to do a series, if they want to do something to memorialize the Constitution, then that's great too. Do it.
Yep, I agree.
But they muddied the waters, and they just kind of made this semi-quincentennial.
Well, that would be great to have a coin that basically gave you history on what every amendment in the Constitution is.
It ran silver for 2 months, member. Thanks, brother.
Deep. It can be a brief, freedom of speech, all the way through. Probably I'm not sure how many amendments there are now, but probably get a whole bunch of years of quarters that way.
But these quarters for the semi-quincentennial are a perfect display of what I said, that they've gotten so worried about inclusiveness and not hurting people's feelings and stuff, that they're kind of pushing our history, and they're kind of changing our history in a way. They're I don't know.
So coach made a comment, and I want to address this comment. It says, do you think that when you get so passionate about coin collecting, you can become hypercritical of the mint? Yes, but here's the problem. We're trying to safeguard a hobby from basically going away, right? We look at what happened with stamps. Now, stamps is one of those things that there were advents of technology. There were things put in place that basically made them obsolete. There were people that were not engaging in this. They really didn't push the hobby. They really didn't talk about the hobby, and they kind of just let it go by the wayside. What we're looking at is the basically the creator of our hobby, and how can they really work to engage and make sure they sustain the hobby for the collectors, not only that exist, but new collectors as they're coming up. How do we maintain the hobby? This is the important thing. This is another reason why people like Paula and Livecoin Q&A and myself and Eric and Chuck and all of those do the information that we do, that information dissemination, to ensure that we're sharing true and adequate information, and not supporting and supplying information against these people that are just randomly throwing off chatbot stuff that may or may not even talk about the coin that they're representing. Right? So there's a level of education, there's a level of information, there's a level of holding people accountable for certain things. But if we don't relate to them what it is that as collectors and things that we want to be able to see, then they're going to basically work themselves out of people being interested in what they have. Now, does it mean that collecting will forever go away? No, not necessarily.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. But
you're right, Azure Blue. It is the right to vote for all citizens. But I believe it was in 1920 that it was ratified to specify, to make it specific, that women had the right to vote. I think that was part of the women's suffrage movement. I could be wrong.
What's up, Kellen? Yeah, again, I'm not.
And we are hypercritical, and that I wouldn't even call it hypercritical. I would just say that we're critical, and we need to be critical of the mint. that is our coin. That is our coinage. And if coin collecting completely stops, and the U.S. Mint is strictly used just to make money for commerce, then they're not going to last long.
Well, not only that, we're going to be heading straight towards the CBDC anyway.
And they
Um,
need to be including
yeah,
us.
so it's important that we look at
Well, I don't know about that, but
what.
a central bank.
Well, I mean, it's heading this way, whether you like it
I
or
don't know
not.
about that.
If you're part of the VA, you don't have options to have checks anymore. It's all centralized. It's just a modification of it.
Basically, I think
So
any government payment is that way. There's no more
yeah,
checks or
so
paper.
I mean, whether you want to say it or not, it's already here. Just not to the extent that they want to push it. Um, the state of Texas deemed that there were so many potential issues with the CBDC that they were like, right now, it's definitely not a good time to invest our
That's why they
entire
can't
thing.
make their own money.
Who?
Texas.
Oh, no, that's not true. You
Well,
have to
they need a
understand,
central bank.
yeah, but you have to understand the language in which they're doing. So when we talk about that, and I'm going to, I think Tiger and I are going to be going live maybe tonight, sometime tomorrow, talking about this. I've petitioned some people in Texas
But they've
government.
been talking about that, didn't they? Didn't they first try to pass that thing back in like 5 years ago or something like that? They
2017 was
still
the
and they
initial
couldn't.
time.
Yeah,
2023 was the next big push. Um,
yeah.
yeah, but again, there's a difference, and this again, it's nothing new. A lot of people see that the recent legislation, there were two bills that
Yeah,
were done, and they talked about these particular
Mandarin.
bills. One of
Yeah.
them was about the
Good
general
morning,
process,
freaking
the other one
awesome.
was about tax. But when you break it down and look at it, their utilization of what's called in specie. In specie is what allows them to create that. And so
Right.
understanding that it's silver and gold backed, but they're not creating their own money. That's the common misperception when people see
Well,
this.
I know it'll be separate. They'll still use the government backed money and stuff too. That'll still be allowed, right? But they're still creating their own currency.
But don't you have to get all the other states to say they're going to accept the currency?
No,
So then Texas money wouldn't be accepted anywhere.
right.
No, that's
Just
not well.
Texas.
Well, for now,
But
it's just within
yeah,
the state. But we already
right.
have examples of this that exist right now. You look at the
Goldbacks.
I'm pretty
yeah,
sure that
right.
California tried to do that
Well,
with their own mint and
California
own money
also
at one
tried
point.
to uh, split themselves into three: the northern state, the central state, and the southern state. They tried to split themselves three ways. So California's done some other weird stuff as well. Texas has worked to secede from the union a number of times, um, but they would have a hard time if all the what would happen with all the military bases. They'd have to pull the military bases out. So there's issues with that. So there's always talks
There's
about
lots of
this.
issues.
One of the primary problems with looking at this particular money set is that Texas wouldn't be issuing their own money. It would all be a digital way in which to process money.
Right.
And so a lot of people are confused about the fact that it's actually Texas is trying to create its own money. They're not. Um, it's just they want to do a silver and gold backed CBDC that you can also transfer in relation to fiat. So there's a lot of stuff. Like I said, I'm doing a lot of research on this. I've actually petitioned some of the
They did say they were going to have currency and coins, though. That it
uh,
wasn't all going to be digital.
currency and coins.
Well,
It's well,
digital currency backed by gold and silver, I think they're talking about physical money. They're talking
Right.
about
so okay. The way that this works, and this is again, you have to look at the language.
I
So
did.
the only time that you can have a state can have silver and gold is if they're changing it in service for goods. So we could create we have bullion, but basically what the CBDC is the CBDC is a bullion backed gold, silver, copper, whatever that it could be palladium, platinum, whatever they want to do. And then what they would take from this is they would look at the opportunity for you to, if you wanted to trade it for fiat, you could trade it back into fiat, not a problem. We can't produce the money here in Texas, so they would have to be able to allow people to transfer that money back into fiat if they wanted to. You can buy into the program with fiat, you can buy into it silver and gold, but once you're on the program, then you have a CBDC, like a credit card or a debit card, against that particular fractional gold or fractional silver that you bought into. Based on the spot price at the time of purchase, there's going to be fees associated with it. So you're going to have a fee for obviously buying it and transferring it on, and then you're going to have, I don't know if it's going to be purchase or exit fees. The initial funding of that is $26 million to do the initial buy-in to the Texas Reserve. It's going to be for staffing and initial development. It's going to be $1.5 million. And then they talk about 800,000 to $1 million per year to support 5 staff within the Texas Comptroller Division that's going to be allowed to kind of manage and mitigate the general process, work the flows, do the balancing, do the budgets. And then any extra money that comes from the various fees has to get put back into the Texas public coffer. So the development of the money itself is only through the digital transference of that. So basically, if you wanted to withdraw your money against silver and gold, you could do so. If you wanted
Right.
to withdraw your money against fiat, you could do so. If you wanted to withdraw your money in the use of a transaction for an asset, property, a vehicle, whatever, then those people that are on that program would be able to do that, and you'd be able to transfer that money. So it's not a coin, so to speak, as much as it is a way to transfer the money and to house that currency to perform a transaction. It's a transaction based system, and that's why they call it in specie, meaning in
Can I
kind,
just
the
say
same
something real
type.
quick to Coach's Magic? Sorry,
Yeah,
before I lose
go ahead.
the. So, Coach's Magic, you're totally misunderstanding what when I talk about the U.S. Mint and I complain about that. It is not about me. It is not about me what I like or dislike. It is about the US Mint excluding a large portion of the population in favor of these big dollar corporations and stuff. So, for example, these privy marked flowing hair. How many? They only did 230 of them. They're up for auction. They're not even for like the normal collectors, which is the US Mint's bread and butter. Me, little Joe collector over here who, lives on a disability salary, can't afford to buy that kind of stuff. Same with this little privy mark ASC that they did that they didn't even offer to the general public. That was not even offered to the general public. That's my problem with the US Mint. Is not that they're not including me in what I like, because they are for the most part, but they're excluding. If you talk to most collectors, I try to get my finger on the pulse of collecting on a regular basis by talking to people in the community and stuff. If you talk to regular collectors, a large majority of them are not happy with what the US
Yeah.
Mint is putting out. They're just not. So I understand that it's not always about me. But what I'm saying is that when they do programs like the semi-quincentennial and stuff like that, they're getting so far in left field by trying to please you, exactly what you say, by trying to please everybody, that they're forgetting about the program itself.
And to add
That
to that, the one reason we talk
maybe I'm
about,
not making sense. Maybe I'm just not making sense in
no,
what
you're
I'm
making
trying to
sense.
No,
say.
you make perfect sense.
Yeah, but to clarify, so you talk about the flowing hair. Now, the reason we talk about the flowing hair is because it became a big item. There was a media pull about that. There were tons of people who were interested in it when they dropped the bomb about the privy mark. A ton of people got on board. This
Hmm.
was something that the general person who wasn't a collector, and I can give you friends of mine who are not
Mhm.
collectors at all, who were like, "Hey, I'm interested in trying to get that privy thing. The metal is cool. If I
Mhm.
only get the metal, that's fine, but it'd be really cool to be able to get this." It was something that a lot of people engaged on, but when they turn around and they did this thing with the gold, and they said, "Okay, well, we're gonna release the gold, and here's the price." The price is high. We know the price from the mint is always high. It's gotta be profitable. I think an $800 markup on a single coin, when you're looking at that is a little bit ridiculous, but is what it is. 25% markup on anything is a hefty price to pay. But why are we targeting specifically that privy mark? Well, again, because it was something that should have been released to the general public. Is that my opinion? Absolutely, it's my opinion. But the bulk collectors have the key in on almost everything else. This was something. Now, I want you to listen to this because this is the word of Ventress Gibson, not Frosty. I heard
Mhm.
you. I heard what you wanted. The general population, I heard you, and I am doing what you wanted me to do.
And that's not true.
It's not true at all.
Mm-mm.
This is what we're calling them out for. That is not true at all. The first thing that they did is they hammered that to the big collector, the big distributor. So you got to call a spade a spade. You got to call a diamond a diamond. You got to call those things what they are. And the statement that she made, and Paul and I were both in chat when Coin Coin Show
Bunch of
podcast.
podcasts.
I started like going through my head about all the different coin channels. I lost it for a second. And both of us were like, whoa, 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 that's not true.
Mm-mm.
Because the fundamental tenet of that is if that was for the people, then the people should have had the first dibs at this. This should not have been a part of the bulk collector program
Mm-mm.
because what she said wasn't actually acted out in reality. We, as a populace, have 100% ability to say, hey, that's not correct. We don't agree with that. Now, is this regarding everything else? No, we're not saying that. What I want to be clear, and again, coach, I got what you are, I got what you understand. I'm not hammering or belittling you in any place. I appreciate this. This right here is what I talk about all the time. The ability to
Mhm.
have conversation. Now I
For
want you to
sure.
go back and I want you to look at exactly how coach is phrasing it, right? Thank you for the rebuttal. Thank you for your response. I understand your point. My point is this. Can you help me understand this? This is good conversation. This is what conversation should be. So I want to applaud Coach for doing this because
Yeah,
this
for
is
sure.
how we should be communicating as a people.
I'm always going to be on the side of the collector. I am
Yeah.
always
Yeah.
going to be on the side of the collector no matter what.
I,
And
I was in the chat when you guys were in the chat, and I'm leaning that they didn't say any. They were when people were making comments, they would say, "Oh,
yeah.
exactly this and this and this," but
Yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
comment come up and they didn't say anything. I think that might have been one of the taboo areas because there was areas that they said this is what we're going to ask questions about that had to be approved or disapproved.
Yeah.
And
Oh, I'll guarantee
you
you
were at
that
the end of the
I
thing.
guarantee you
You
that
were
there
just
were
hammering
things
it,
that were
Paula.
told.
Oh, I was trying to,
Anyway,
Yeah,
but
you were just going
that's
boom, 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 boom.
that's what I
Frostbyte was
said.
a little bit too,
yeah.
but
I know.
they were
I would
ignoring
not.
you.
My if I had interviewed her, my questions would have been a lot. I would have been more like Fox News than CNN.
Yeah, but then the interview would have been short because she wouldn't have approved any of your questions.
I know.
You
I would have
know,
definitely had. I mean,
I liked
I
it.
can
I thought it
be
was a great
But
I
interview.
there's
can be. Oh, and it's very obvious that they are very fond of her, and I get that on a personal level. You know what I
I'm
mean?
actually fond of her. I think she's
Yeah.
doing something.
oh,
Her
I said
hands are
that in
tied.
chat. She
Well,
seems a very pleasant
I
person.
do think that her hands
Yeah.
are very tied, but I also think that she very much leans on the corporate side of things.
I
And
think she was a corporate person before she was the mint director.
she was in the military too.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, she was Navy.
so I don't the
Hey,
whole
Kevin.
thing is I always will I always will be on the side of the
Oh,
collector.
absolutely. Me too,
Yeah.
because I'm a collector. It's like
And
taking care of your brothers and sisters.
yeah, I just think, and as far as that star privy, people saying they think it's going to be a good investment in the long run. I think that the way that historically in just a short amount of time it has gone down in value,
Yeah.
um says otherwise. Now, I'm not talking about these special label things that they're selling for $599 on the coin network,
Right.
whatever.
Yeah.
um because that's just ridiculous. I mean, if you want to pay that much for a mint state 70 bullion strike coin in that has like this eight era label that nobody gives a crap about who eight era is. And I shouldn't say that. Somebody cares about it. But all I know is I tried to get my grandkids to play the game and they thought it was stupid.
Well, there you go. The game will
So
go out
there
of
you
business,
go.
and then if the game gets huge, the coins might go somewhere. If
If
the
the
game
good
dies, they're going to be dead.
that's what it's dependent on.
Yep.
How that gaming app does in the long run. Because
This
right
there's
now
been very little
it's
on this game in the media. There's been very little about this game in the gaming
yeah,
channels.
But
nobody cares about
Nope.
this game.
Nope.
you
It
can
was a
relate
one
this
hop
to
shot.
cryptocurrency. A lot of the gaming companies, instead of going to like GoFundMe and stuff like that, like they did 20 years ago or whatever it was, they create a Bitcoin or something like that, a crypto coin that you buy. And if the game's successful, those crypto coins actually do okay.
Yeah.
But if they're not, you just wasted your money, but you did back the game, if you wanted to see the game. So it's not a total loss. Maybe they're trying to do something like that, hey, we'll make some money off these coins to fund the game. And, if the game tanks, the coins tank. The game does great, the coins will be worth something from a collector standpoint.
Make sure you
They
smash
they
that
are
like,
still
folks.
a
Okay. Thanks.
500,000 mintage bullion coin.
It's 500,000 now.
Oh,
Yes,
it always
that's the
was.
mintage.
The
It's
Okay, I
always
50
thought
been
the
for
500,000.
some
50,000 was
reason I thought
just
it
a
was like
label.
175,000 when it came out.
No,
See,
it's
listen, so
500,000.
Yankee Doodle Stacker, this is the thing. It's all in the language that they're using, right?
Yep.
This is the lowest mintage
Mm-mm.
bullion coin. They're what they're doing is
They're manipulating you.
they're manipulating their words. It is
Yep.
still a bullion coin. So nobody cares about the mintage of a bullion coin. That's what I'm saying. They're at 500,000 is still a relatively high mintage. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, you get to you can spend your money. I don't care how people spend their money. If they want to spend their money on stuff, then that's fine. But it is still a bullion coin. It is a
Well,
bullion strike. There's nothing special about it. It has a little star privy that but
yeah. So one thing that
one of a kind. I don't know what that means.
so there was a comment
It
made, and I'm
doesn't
not
go
gonna.
up in It doesn't go up in value though. Look at some of the gold coins we made. Look at some of our commemorative coins.
Yeah,
Look at
Yeah,
commemorative
some
coins.
of
Mike.
our commemorative coins, even the modern commemorative coins, and look at the mintages on those.
Yeah, but Mike. Here's the thing. And
Mintage does not mean value.
let's go back and do some reflection on some of these mintages. Okay, Mike, you're in a lot of channels,
Mintage
right?
does not mean value. It's
Right.
supply and
So
demand.
we can look
It's
back.
public
We can.
opinion. Ultimately, if people
Yep.
like it, it's worth more.
Go ahead, Frostbite. Sorry.
That's okay. I've become accustomed to waiting on my channel. So here's the thing. We look at some of the mintage of collectible items that are there, right? And so we look at mintages of 20,000, for instance, okay, and they sell for whatever. I'll give you a great example. Is Coin Crew still in here? Or
Happy
Great
birthday,
Scott?
Wolf Metals.
Hey, Wolf, happy birthday. So my point is that if you guys remember, there was silver round. I can't remember where it was a product of. Might have been Zimbabwe. But this was going to be one of those coins that everybody was on. It was the new colorized. A lot of media, a lot of talk about it. A mintage of 20,000. Uh, they actually dropped the mintage down. They initially sold for between $42 and $48. Beautiful. And I wish I had one with me. I thought I had one, but I don't have one. I think I took it out of my area. But it had the real nice elephant on it, African elephant, really nice. It was going to be the big thing. People were looking at this particular coin. This coin was running again $42 to $48. When I was in Tulsa, then I met with Coin Crew and them, and I said I wanted to give Great Scott a gift for picking me up at the airport. So I
Mhm.
told him I wanted one, and I seen these, and I'm like, hey, I want to get one of those. He goes, well, I'm going to open them special. These are they're really big. There's a lot of information saying that these are going to be like the next big coin. It was a really big thing. Again, we're talking about a mintage of 20,000. $43. He gave me a cut. I think I paid $40 for it. Still a little bit more than everything else, mind you. At this point, silver was at $23, $24. So it was a hefty premium to pay for this particular item, right? I can get that thing now for $36.
Yeah, and the Yankee Doodle Stacker, then you should do it. Absolutely. Let me tell you, this is so I can go to right now today and buy a raw one for what are they going for? $46? A raw one of the Star Privy ASE. You have one that's in a slab that says 8 era. You and I still have the same coin.
Yep.
We still have the exact same coin. So what's going on right now with those is people have FOMO for those 8 era slabs, one of 50,000, because they think that those are a big deal. I'm just
Hey,
telling you
James.
that historically
Yep.
those do not hold their value. Those types of things do not hold their value. Special labels like that, they people lose interest real quick.
I'm going to
Actually, the guy
find
that's running the game is the guy that started the special labels
I'm
racket.
going to
Yep.
find a clip.
Yeah.
Okay. And
So
I
sell
have
them
to get,
now and flip them now.
I'm going to find a
Oh,
clip and
sorry.
I
Go
got to
ahead.
get Yankees approval for it. Not Yankee Doodle, but actual Yankee Stacker. I've got to get his
The
approval
new
before I
flowing
share it.
ornamental.
He was in a discussion with a certain company. I don't have to say who it is, but I'm not going to mention it. And the comment that was made, the reason that this is so important, the comment that was made, and I'm going to say it loosely. I don't have the exact verbatim comment, but basically they said, we do these special labels in hope that one of them takes off. And we hope that it's our label is the one that takes off.
Supply and
It's
demand,
just
Kevin.
a
That's
gamble.
why.
It's just a gamble. It's marketing, and what they're
Yep.
doing is they're hoping that that particular one gets picked up and people run with it. Now,
Supply and
does that
demand,
make
Kevin.
it more valuable? It only makes it valuable at the time, because in time, those things people start to realize, don't collect the holder, collect the coin. There was
Mhm.
a discussion, another one, and I think Mike, you were on this one too. Do you remember um, the emergency release ASCs, the 2021 emergency release ASCs?
Yes.
Right? What the
Yeah.
freaking farce was that?
Yeah.
The only reason they're valuable was because of that label.
Right.
Something happens to that coin or that holder,
Mhm.
that is just a normal 21 ASE.
Yep.
Right. So you got to take into consideration what happens in the case of that gets damaged. So what is that coin worth now? Nothing. So again, don't buy the holders. And people say, well, my holder indicates that it's genuine. Not always. There's tons of counterfeits out there that are in holders. Doesn't mean that they're authentic. So again, don't be misled by fancy marketing and fancy advertising. Um, now,
That's right, Joseph C.
And
yeah,
here's the thing, like, so,
well,
and I
but
don't want
there's
anybody to
yeah, that's
be,
a different story. You're
I
talking
don't want
about
anybody to
creation
be
of first
offended or
generation things.
upset by what I'm saying, because really, I mean, I am all, like I said, I'm all for the collector. You collect what you like. But obviously, people who are getting them and flipping them also don't give a crap about the coin. Because why would you be selling them
It's a money
if you
grab.
cared
Yeah,
about the coin?
it's a
You
money grab.
don't. Huh?
Yeah, it's a money grab.
Yeah. So
Yep, that's all it is.
it's people who have these things were hyped up on certain channels. I saw them, and they're being hyped up on these coin vault TV or whatever, and coin auction TV. And I'm just telling you that if you look over the historical um like data on things like this, these special labels and stuff like that, they just don't do well over time. So if you want to get one and you can get it for a decent price, or you got one for a decent price and you can flip it, do it now.
Yep, exactly.
Somebody is still going to be screwed in the end, but it's not going to be you, I guess. But you know, and if you like it, then you think it's cool and you want to pay $300 for it, pay $300 for it. Myself, if I wanted one, I'd go to AppMex or whatever and I'd pay $46 for one and have a raw one.
Yeah, those
But
2 coin junkie. Yeah, the people who sell die chips and mechanical doubling as authentic errors and varieties, and
yeah,
yeah,
I
all that
mean,
stuff too. It's all people trying to release product, get rid of product that, um,
and it's going to
yeah,
be people that
it's just
it's
killing
going
the
to
hobby.
it's going to be people that get defensive. And you know, some people will say, yeah, I screwed up, I made a mistake, but they don't want to admit it, so they get hyper defensive about it. But for the team coin, $30, yeah, that's great. If you paid $30 for it, that's great. I could have bought one of those 8 era slab things from Gray Sheet for like $110 a while ago and flipped it for $300 if I wanted. But
There was more
then
important things to do with the
it,
$110.
yeah, the principle of it's more
Yeah.
important to me. So, I mean, I don't know, but and as far as comparing that to the flowing hair metal with the privy, that's that's apples and oranges, because you're going, like I said, that's all supply and demand.
Thanks,
Way more
John.
people wanted that privy flowing hair metal than
Now, I'll be honest with you. I'm really interested to see if they learn from the mistake of the Star Privy when they do the Flying Eagle Privy on the next one that's coming out in April, and see if they
yeah,
improve the placement.
the placement of it, right?
Because if they don't improve the placement of it, like there's no interest to me. It looks like it's just an afterthought that was thrown onto something.
I don't
Well,
have
Um,
any
it technically
interest in it.
was because
Still
they're
just a
laser
yeah,
engraving
bullion.
it on an existing die.
yeah.
Yep.
And John, thanks
So
so
it
much
is
for
an
the comment,
afterthought.
man. I appreciate
It's
that.
still just a bullion coin.
Yeah, and again,
So
so if they increase the placement of that, now I am interested in seeing it, but let me tell you about the marketing of that. This is something that we've talked about before. I want you guys
yes.
to understand you're going to hear terminology, not may, will,
Yes, Azure.
not may, will. Hear terminology when that get that double eagle on there, because they've already mentioned this, that they can already coin this as the double eagle ASE.
Yeah, that's going to be a problem.
It's going to be a massive problem for people who are thinking that they're going to get
Mhm.
something, because they're going to see these double eagles and they're going to say, "Oh my God, I've got this double eagle coin. It must be worth $20,000."
There are going to people that will profit
Yep.
on that.
And so it's going to happen. Folks,
Mhm.
be smart about this. It's not a double eagle. It's a fancy play on words, and it's going to end up hurting the new collector who comes up. They're going to go out there. They're going to be all excited. Look, I got this double eagle. And they're going to go, "That's an ASC. That's not a double eagle. This is a double eagle. You're a freaking idiot." It's going to hurt the new person who doesn't really understand the terminology, doesn't
Well,
understand
I
what a
just
double eagle
wonder.
is.
So
It's a
Frostbite,
bad thing.
you know marketing stuff more than I do. I don't know anything about marketing. I My question is, how long is it going to be before this game, the gaming company, makes it exclusively available to the people who play the game? And then you start having, because people are already complaining that they're having to put money into this game to get these other special coins and stuff that they have available. So how long is it going to be before, they're going to put 2, 3, 4 of these special ones out, and then the only way to finish the set is for you to start putting money into this game and playing this
Oh,
game,
so they've already pulled one of those.
right?
And that is there are 4 specialty coins, and those 4 specialty coins can only be had by the top 4 players in the world during that time
Mhm.
frame. And so the only way to get that now, when you're playing, and I used to play a match 3 RPG, you guys know this. This is where my name Frostbyte came from. It has nothing to do with coins and collectibles. It has to do
That's what
with
he's talking about, Yankee,
yeah,
the double eagle.
right. Yeah. So when you're looking at this again, one of the reasons that I left that was because of constant money grabs.
Mhm.
One of the most expensive games. Actually, you know what? I'm going to do. Yeah, exactly. Yankee tournament winners. They're going to be the top 4 in the game. I'm
Mm.
going to do a giveaway. I'm going to give away a variety. I got one of these
L
from
on the
Eric.
rim.
Huh?
An L on the rim?
No,
There
it's
you
going to be a
go.
floating roof. Um,
67, 68, 60
yeah.
something.
Right.
So yeah, a no mint mark 65. There you go. But I'm going to give this away, and I want you guys to tell me out of the
Mhm.
games that are there, the match RPGs, which is you have to match 3 or 4 in a row. Okay, what's the number one most expensive match 3 RPG? If you happen to know the name, throw that in there. If you get the answer, then I'm going to go ahead and put it on there. This is a game tons and tons of people play. I've got a buddy of mine who plays this, and when he told me how much money he was spending a month on this game, I about died. Um, Chris G, okay, email me. Final Fantasy, the amount of money my buddy was spending up to $1,000 a month
Oh my gosh.
in
Uh,
packs and extra things to be top rated to be able to complete. The amount of money that comes from this game. Hey, TN High Class, thanks for the subscription. I appreciate that. And
oh
I
my
miss
gosh.
Vernita.
At the end of the year, that's $12,000. Can you imagine the coins you could buy with that?
Oh, it's insane.
Well, and just think how long Final Fantasy's been out.
Right?
Like
Yeah.
Oh my.
in one form or
There
another for 40 years.
there are
I
other
could get
games.
my
Now, the
roof
game that I
fixed.
used to play, which was a match 3 RPG, it was called Empires and Puzzles. And they started everything was costing money, everything and everything and everything. Now,
In COD we
I
trust.
was I was really good about that game, and multiple times in me playing the game for moments, because this is one where the top spot changes every 30 seconds, 40 seconds, depending upon who's battling and who wins. But I've been rated top in the world in this particular game a couple times. Then they started making you pay for upgrades and everything else, and you could never do it. There was no way to accomplish top spots if you weren't what they call the whales of these games. You just couldn't do it. You more and more and more and more and more and more money. And if you're in some of these competitive leagues, and these games have leagues, there's a whole lot of money, there's a whole lot of marketing. So what this did is they wanted to say, well, we're going to have tournaments, and the winner of these tournaments are going to get these 4 very rare collectible coins. You're only going to be able to do it if you finish in the top notch. And then the first ones are easy, right? A bunch of people, everybody's on an even playing ground. And then they start charging you money for upgrades and for these packs and for new, better characters. And they start updating it and changing it. Next thing you know, you're going to spend it spending more and more and more and more and more. And what are you getting out of it? Absolutely nothing. It's a pure money grab. You're totally wasting and ruining your money. A lot of people get into serious trouble because they just play and play and play and play and play. It's a real problem. It's yeah, Joseph C. It's a real bad. Again,
Oh gosh, Coin Junkie. Yeah, it's in the Cherry Picker's Guide, Coin Junkie.
yeah.
Have fun with that.
So, but again, there's so many of these things that are out there.
Goofy.
What I want to do, and what Paul and I, well, and Eric and Chuck and Livecoin Q&A, and again, there's tons of channels that what we really want to do is provide
Mhm.
education. So yes, sometimes we're going to be critical, but I'm going to tell you what I believe, and I'm going to tell you what I understand. And if you can tell me that I'm wrong, but you can back it up with fact and you can do the research that I do and validate and verify that it's incorrect, then tell me because I want to know. But my job is to protect you guys. Paula's job is to protect you guys. Eric's job is to protect you guys, to make sure that the collector has the best information. What I really want to do is I want to make sure that language and marketing that's utilized against you, not for you,
Mhm.
against you. That's the things that we need to protect you on. So this double eagle thing that's here, it's going to be a trap. It's going to represent something that isn't actually true. It's going to represent something that is going to fool people. And we know from a fact that if people get burned early on and they're trying to join the hobby or come into the hobby, if they get burned, they will never come back. And word of mouth is way more important than any kind of advertising or anything else. And you start telling people that, hey, I'm not doing this because this person screwed me. Pretty soon, everybody's going to know that that person screwed you. Right.
And if you
So,
really want, if you want to, if you don't want to take my word, which is fine, I don't want people taking my word. I want them to listen, listen to what I say and then go do your own research.
yeah.
That's my goal. But here's one way you could tell. Take one of those star pervy ASCs, find 5, 6, 7, 10, whatever, however many coin shops, take it into them, whether it's raw or in the slab or both, whatever, and find out what they're willing to pay for them. They know how those things do historically. They know how those novelty slabs and stuff like that, how they do historically. They're a better gauge of that than I am because I don't sell coins. I just do research. I research things. That's what I do. But if you want firsthand knowledge of how those are going to do in the market, take them to a coin shop that will resell it and and knows that kind of stuff and see what they're willing to give you for it.
That's right, Azer. It'll be near spot.
Yep. So don't take my word for it. And trust me, if they thought that there was like an investment opportunity in those,
They'd have
they
bought them
would
all
offer
already.
you good money for them.
They'd have already
Yeah, well,
bought
they
them.
would have bought them all from AppMex
Yeah.
too already.
Well, that's true. And
But again, remember that, and I say this, and we can agree to disagree on this, and that's fine, folks. You're not going to agree
Hey,
with
they
what
could
my
become.
thoughts are
There
on it.
is a possibility if that game all of a sudden erupts into like the next best thing, the new Coca-Cola, they'll be worth money. But if it does just fades away, they will not.
If you
not
if
doing
you
good so
if you
far.
search for top games right now, it's not even going to show up.
Mm-mm.
You're not going to see any marketing for it. You're not going to see it's not
If they had put it
not
on
doing anything.
PlayStation or Xbox or something like that, one of those games, I think it would have done so much better. But mobile game apps, I don't think kids are really interested in as much in those as the ones they have to sit their butts down and, in front of the TV and play. But
Pedro, he says, I agree in the short term, Paulo, but as a long term investment, I believe they'll be far more valuable than the standard ASC. Um, I don't think so. And the reason that I don't think so is,
mm-mm.
again, if you go back and you look at market values for things, um, they just don't hold their value. Sometimes they do. Sometimes you'll get ones, but very rarely do you do you get.
How many
I just don't see
ASCs?
it.
How many specialty ASCs that actually were created strictly for the collector? How many of those are have become known as a good investment? I
2,
think there's very few
maybe
of the
3.
years and mints. Now this is a bullion coin. This isn't even one of the special collector
Yep.
ASCs. This is a bullion coin.
Yeah. So
It's
there's
still a bullion coin, Yankee Doodle. That's what I'm saying, though. It's still a bullion coin. It doesn't matter if they laser engraved a little privy and into the dies that they already had. It's still the exact same strike and everything as made with the same dies as the bullion coins.
You want to
So
talk
I
about
don't know.
privies that are worth money? Look at the V75,
Yeah.
right? Um,
I mean, we have privies on those W quarters. Those aren't holding their, those aren't holding their value as opposed to what they were in the beginning.
no, they've dropped quite a bit. Used to get
Yeah.
that even the W quarters have come down quite a bit.
The only ones that are valuable and have held their value are the really high grades.
Yep. Now the W quarters, you can still get $25 a quarter for the W quarters. Um,
Yeah.
but it's not. But again, you get into higher grades. Again, you're going to get more for those.
Every single innovation dollar has a privy on it. Every single innovation dollar has a privy on it. Those have low mintages. How come those aren't collectible? So just because something has a lower mintage and a privy or something, it doesn't matter if there's not the desire there, if there's not the interest. And I just don't think the interest is going to hold out. We'll see how long it takes them for the raw ones to sell out. Because as far as I know, they're still available. And if there's only 500,000 mintage, you would think that they would have sold out by now, like right away, if there was that much interest in them.
So I want to address Kevin Rose. Cheerio dollar was a fad that wasn't supposed to be valuable, but they are. There was also a change in the Cheerios dollar that made it different from the one that was
Oh,
published.
Cheerios dollar. That's
Right.
And not
exactly.
every Cheerios dollar is created equal.
That's
That's
correct.
right.
And
There was
so,
normal design and normal reverse and the enhanced
but
reverse.
there are situations in those that make them unique. So I get, as a general premise, you're absolutely right. That is, for the face value of it, that statement is true. But when you look
Well, even
at
the
that,
penny, the statement is true. If it's in the card and in there, it's worth more than just a 2,000 penny rolling around.
$10, $10,
Yeah.
5, $10.
But take it out of there and it's worth a penny.
And the
exactly.
Cheerios dollar immediately
Hey,
became
JJ.
valuable when it was discovered. When the enhanced tail feather Cheerios dollar was discovered, it immediately was valuable. It just wasn't known about right away.
Right. And folks, be really careful when you hear them say low mintage.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because mintage isn't everything.
No.
So I use this reference a lot because Chuck and Eric have drilled it into my head. What has a lower mintage, the 1909 SVDB or the 1926S in anything above MS65?
Say that one more time.
1909
It's
SVDB
not what you think.
or the 1926S in any grade above MS65.
Yeah, if you found an MS65,
Oh, the 1926S.
yeah.
But my
sure.
point is,
Point of
everybody
the
thinks
collection.
that the 1909 SVDB is going to be the most expensive.
Right.
It's not. So there are situations that occur that are the rarity, the oddity, but there are other coins that, because of their terrible strike, if you can find one of those with a really, really good strike and in high grades, but those are the exceptions to the rule. But the problem is that people utilize the exception as the argument, and you can't utilize an exception to the rule as a basis for a standard argument. They're the exception. They're not the norm.
That's right. I
So-
want everybody to look at the W quarters, the mintage on the W quarters. We all know they were 2 million a piece of each design, 5 designs per year. And then look at the S Mint business strike quarters from 2012 to date. Look at the mintage on those. The S Mint business strike, many people don't even know they exist. The S Mint business strike quarters. And they are super low mintage in comparison to the other quarters, but nobody gives a crap about them.
Yeah, so mintages and everything. Now, later on down the road, could that change? Maybe.
But I've been trying to push them for years.
Yeah, maybe.
I agree. No, I agree. Ultimately, you're right. But if
Yep.
they, you know what would change it? Them putting an S mint in circulation. Everybody would
Yep.
have it then.
Everybody would start finding them then.
Yep.
Yeah. And
So,
they would care.
but again,
It's all about interest.
the whole premise of today was to kind of talk about two things. Number one, I'm not degrading what the mint is doing as far as them doing their job. They have a very specific legal set of requirements that they have to make. Their job is to be uh, a product to make sure that they have money, that they don't fall into the hole. But it's how they go about doing it. And again,
Mhm.
when we look at this, I want to watch people find stuff or have a desire to look for stuff and not just go through silver coin rolls
Temporarily.
and be looking for just that. I want people to be able to find neat stuff. I would like the mint to take lessons learned from Nui or from the Royal Mint or the Royal Canadian Mint and start developing things that people want to search for.
Yeah.
People, again, yeah, we all want to find silver, right? We know that there's value inherent in that junk silver. We know that that's something that a lot of people want. We know that we look at copper coins and we look for varieties and errors. We have other people. Dirty Water is a great example of somebody who loves just
Mhm.
looking at coins to find stuff. We have those people, but not everybody's going to come in right off the get go and start looking for errors and varieties. It's a very difficult thing to do. You have to understand the minting process, but the standard collector, if you had a colorized coin, could just go find the colorized coin. If they look for
Hmm.
just a W mint mark or an S mint mark on a coin, they could go look for that. So there are things that they can do to really encourage
Yes.
collecting within the United States. My request in this topic for today was, hey, can we start doing something like this? Can we really engage that
Mm.
novice person who's interested in collecting and help promote that? That's the premise
SM
for today.
SFK, the 20 the S Mint Business Strike quarters though have been minted since 2012. So nobody has cared about them since 2012. I know you're talking about like the Washington crossing the Delaware and then the women's quarters. Those are super low mintage, the S Mint. But they've been minting them since 2012 and nobody has cared about the S Mint business strikes. So, can I just say one more thing too? I
Nope.
just want to make sure that everybody, oh, I'm gonna anyway, you know that. I just want to make sure that everybody knows that I hope I'm wrong about these star privies and the other things I say I don't think are going to hold their value. I hope I am wrong. I really do. I hope that they do hold their value and I hope that they do well for the people, those of you who like them and want to collect them. I just want you to be aware that a lot of times these things are way overhyped and do your own research and listen to people who have been in the business for a long time and have seen things come and go and fade out and everything. I just want you to be aware because I don't want to hear on somebody else's stream that, oh, I was bashing people and I don't know what I'm talking about and blah 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 blah. I don't want to hear that cuz that's not what I mean at all. I certainly don't think I know everything. And I'm not trying to tell people what to collect and what not to collect and what to buy and not to buy. That's not my point at all. So I hope people aren't taking it the wrong way.
When and I want to kind of to partner on that because we've seen this before, not just necessarily with Paula, but in general. No
Bye,
good
Azure
deed.
Blue, my friend.
Have a good one,
Have
Azure.
a
Thanks
great
for being in here.
weekend.
Um, I enjoy conversation. I have zero issue with you saying that you don't agree with me. It's good. I can give you my point. You can give me yours. Sometimes
Yeah.
we're going to see eye to eye, even though we have differences. And that is
Mhm.
exactly what I want in this chat. This is what I want people to do. This is the nature, the style of what's going on. This is what I want people to do in this chat. And again, I call out Coach because the way Coach handled this. Thanks so much for the
Yeah.
subscription. I appreciate you. But I
Super
call out
respectful.
Coach and I say, look at the way that he handled that. Hey, thank you
Mhm.
for the rebuttal. I appreciate that. I don't necessarily agree. What are your thoughts on this? right? Respect. Ultimately, it's about
Very
respect.
respectful.
We're going to say stuff that you don't agree with because of research or stuff that we've done. We have a certain vantage into something. You may know something we don't know. And we're not calling you idiots. We're not calling you dumb. You just have a different vantage point on that. But we've said this a number of times. And Paula, I think I've said this probably 10,000 times in reference to who Paula is. If you can come up with facts, details,
Careful.
documents, and show Paula that the information she's saying is slightly wrong or totally wrong, you can change her mind. But don't just argue with her for the sake of arguing because this woman is very educated. She reads a lot. She's connected to amazing people. And they talk this stuff. This is what they do. They talk this stuff all the time. So don't just argue for argument's sake. If you're going to come to an argument, bring the tools that show that you're correct.
Thanks,
Don't just talk
Joseph
numbers.
Senior.
Don't just talk whatever. Bring those tools to the argument. I have been taught ever since I was
Argue
young.
with me to my face. Argue with me.
Yeah.
Don't
Don't talk
don't
about, yeah.
argue. Don't talk about me when I'm not there to defend myself. Because I don't do that to you. If I have a conversation with you, it's right here in the open for you to disagree with or whatever, and I'm good with that. And if I'm wrong, I'll be the first one to say I'm wrong. And I'm not just talking about me, I'm talking about anybody. Anybody.
And she
If you
said
Anybody,
that
don't
to
have
me
the
before. Paul and I have had
if you don't have the
conversations and I've said, no, here's the documentation. She's like, oh, I didn't know that. Like I wasn't aware of that. She's changed
right,
her stance
right.
talking with me. So I can
Mhm.
say this first class. Now I've also said, no, this is what it is. And she's shown me and I've gone, oh, I misunderstood what it was saying. So she has changed my mind as well. Again, by having conversation and doing this. Eric, you were going to say something. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
oh, it wasn't important. I said everybody on the panel is about the same way.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah,
My
absolutely.
email
Yeah.
my email is clearly public.
Except Chuck.
Anybody can get my email. I'm on Ida Herring's stream almost every morning. She puts the link up for anybody to come up on panel. If I have said something that upsets you, or if you have a debate with me or whatever, I would love to have a conversation with you. I would love to have that conversation. I just don't want to. It makes it very hard for me to enjoy being on YouTube and going into people's streams and participating when I go in there sometimes and I have to hear my name thrown out or somebody I care about's name thrown out, and they're not there to defend themselves. I'm like I said, I'm not just talking about me, I'm talking about anybody. Have the respect for someone to approach them in person. If after that point there's more of an issue, then by all means talk about them behind their back. I don't give a crap. If they become disrespectful and they don't want to have a conversation with you and whatever, and you want to talk about them, then by all means. But give them an opportunity in the beginning to at least, you know, defend themselves, because maybe, maybe I don't know, maybe you can come to some type of agreement.
Did you see Matty's comment? Just say no.
Mm, just say no.
Right.
She ignores my concept. I know.
What's up, Matty? How you doing, bud? I'm sorry, I couldn't resist. That was there for the taking. But again, folks,
That's because your name's in small letters.
lowercase.
Lowercase, so small letters. Small letters.
All right,
Yeah.
folks. Well, hey, I'm going to go ahead and wrap some stuff up. I'm going to go wake up Bifrost. We're going to go out and have lunch, kind of hang out
Ooh,
and do some stuff. We're going to go have fish and chips. So she
yum.
wanted fish and chips earlier.
Yum, that's right. All right, everybody, have a blessed weekend.
All
Yeah,
right, we'll
y'all
see you
have a
tomorrow.
great day. See you tomorrow if you're here.
Bye.
Thank you too. Appreciate you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thanks so much for the conversation again. I appreciate the ability to have good, solid conversation in the stream. Um, my comments, my thoughts, my desires, my looking at things are for my own benefit, but my benefit is utilized to try to provide you guys information that you can take and you can either do more research on, but it gives you an idea of the things that you need to do to protect yourself. This is why I'm here. Do I need to be your sole source for education and information? No, absolutely not. This is why I surround myself with people who are a lot better at these things than I am. I am really good at research and looking in it and trying to identify information, but I surround myself with people who are smart. This is why Eric and Chuck and members of Litecoin Q&A are have always an open invitation on my channel to be on panel anytime to talk about these items. So again, if you want to have serious discussion, you guys want to hang out, let me know. One thing I am going to be looking at doing here in the next little while is I'm going to vet it. I'm going to talk to people ahead of time and vet who's on here and who's not, but have an open panel conversation with a number of people just to chit chat and talk collectibles. So I'll lay more information out on the groundwork on that when I get that done. But again, have everybody up and just have kind of like a little bit of time for some discussion on our hobbies and what we like to do and what we would like to see. The other thing that I'm going to do is I am reaching out. I talked to Tiger about this and some other people. I am putting my actions where my mouth is. So I have reached out to some legislation and I've reached out to some legislators, not only in the state of Texas, but in the House and in the Senate, um, making propositions and asking for various things to occur. So as those things come to fruition or they don't, I'll be sharing some information with you because again, I'm going to be putting my mouth and my actions on the same plane. So I will make sure that you guys have information as soon as I have more on the Texas CBDC and the money thing. I'll share that with you. We're going to be doing a live on that here shortly. So stay tuned for that. Hopefully, the people that I've reached out and requested an audience with will show me the grace and come on panel. So more to come. All right, folks. I love you guys. Thanks so much for all your support. Amazing. Over 4,700 subs. We're so close to 5,000. I'm really pushing hard on many fronts to get to that massive level. So hopefully you see that numbers rise and hopefully we see more great people like John Hanna, Vote for Pedro, Matt T. Coins, Azure Blue, Skimbriff, Chris G, Kevin Rose. All you guys, I appreciate you. Love you guys. Mike for Democracy. Have a great day. Thanks for coming in. Much love and respect to you too, brother. Be well, be blessed, and I will see you in the streams. Take care, brothers and sisters.